Now for this next lesson, I'm going to run through a simple set of 3 basic arpeggio patterns that might possibly change your bass playing forever. I know that when I stumbled upon this way of looking at the fretboard, it was like a huge light bulb moment for me, and it allowed me to break out of those 1-octave box patterns that we all fall foul of when we start out. So I've been known to nickname this way of looking at scales and arpeggios as the TriShaped System, because we're seeing 3 fretboard patterns for any scale or arpeggio that we learn. Basically, we learn an arpeggio from one of 3 fingers. The first finger, the second finger, or the fourth finger. We can sometimes use the third finger instead of the second finger, as you'll see. It's all dependent on the intervals that we're playing, but at its core, we have these 3 patterns that we're working on for any one root note. Now, remember what we looked at with the intervals in Module 1. For any interval, we've got a couple of nearby places that we can play them, moving both up and down the fretboard. So if we just take a major third interval as an example from C, if we take the C there, 3rd fret of the A string, and we play a major third interval, we've got a common major third interval here, moving up to the E, 2nd fret of the D string. So that's 3rd fret A string, 2nd fret D string, that little major third pattern. But that E, we can also find here at the 7th fret of the A string. So we've also got C to E, the same major third pattern, 3rd fret A string and then 7th fret A string. So we've got this major third interval where we're looking down the neck towards the headstock, and then we've got this major third interval where we're coming down the neck towards the body. This way of looking at intervals is key to our 3 arpeggio patterns we'll be looking at, because for any arpeggio we can see those notes in there at different places on the fingerboard, and you'll see what I mean as we move through them. So let's have a look at a C major arpeggio, okay, just a basic C major triad, and we're going to play it starting at the C here, 8th fret of the E string. Now I'm going to start it here so that we've got a little room to maneuver, because we're going to branch out in both directions on the neck. So we've got the C there, 8th fret of the E string, and then we have E and G, so 7th fret and 10th fret on the A string. So that's our basic C major triad. So that would be our 2nd finger pattern, okay, because we're starting on the 2nd finger, the middle finger. The C there, the tonic, we're playing it with that 2nd finger. So now let's have a look at a 1st finger pattern. So to do this, we're going to start that arpeggio, that same arpeggio, but with the 1st finger. So we play that C again, 8th fret of the E string with this 1st finger. Now because of the position that we're now occupying, moving further up the neck, we need to find a different E, because we don't want to be jumping down. So we look for the E at the 12th fret. And this is that same major third pattern that I was just talking about, where we're on the same string. So we have C, 8th fret, E string, and then E, 12th fret, E string. Then we just take the G again, there, that's handy there, you know, that's within reach, just at the 10th fret of the A string. So we now have the 2nd finger position and a 1st finger position, which means we've now given ourselves a little bit more real estate. We're not limited to that single pattern. Then, for the 4th finger pattern, we're going to start that arpeggio with the 4th finger, the pinky. So, 8th fret E string again with the 4th finger, and this time we're moving down the neck. So, we want the E, so the nearest E is going to be there. We can grab that one, 7th fret of the A string. And then for the G, well, we don't want to be moving up to this G, so we can play the G here at the 5th fret of the D string. Okay, so that, again, that's a completely different shape. So that's the 4th finger pattern for the C major triad. So we have 2nd finger, 1st finger, and 4th finger. 3 completely separate, different patterns for the same 3 notes, the same C major triad, okay? And like I said, we're covering a lot more real estate. We're not just confined to this one small area here. We can now move up, so we can move up to the 12th fret, and we're also moving down to the 5th fret. So instead of just a span from 7th to 10th fret there with our 2nd finger pattern, we're now able to play that C major arpeggio anywhere from this 5th fret all the way up to the 12th fret. So we're covering a lot more of the fingerboard. Now, the beauty of this system comes from the fact that once we've memorized these shapes for every arpeggio, we're free then to play arpeggios in one area without moving. So as a basic example, if I'm playing a second finger C major arpeggio here at the 8th fret of the E string, just as in the previous example, if I then want to play a G major arpeggio, well, I could look for a G and see that there's a G there at the 10th fret of the A string, and I could, using this second finger pattern, I could move up like this, but that means shifting position. Now with our 4th finger and 1st finger patterns, if I play this C major arpeggio, I can see the G there, it's right there under the 4th finger, under the pinky. So I don't need to move, I can just play the 4th finger pattern. So that would be, so there's the 4th finger G major. So I can play C major, then G major. And the hand hasn't moved at all, okay? As a slightly longer example, if I was down here in this lower position and I was playing through a chord progression of C major, A minor, D minor and G major, so 1, 6, 2, 5 in the key of C, and I was just playing arpeggios through that progression, if I was only limited to our 2nd finger major triad and our 1st finger minor triad, I'd have to do quite a bit of position shifting. So if I was to play C major, I then might move up to the A here, 5th fret of the E string, and play with the 1st finger pattern. 1st finger for the D, and then down for the 2nd finger on the G. So there's quite a bit of movement. See, I'm moving up into that 5th fret area. Now, if I was to use our new patterns, our 4th finger patterns, we can just stay in that same position. So if I play through the C major, and then I move to A, I can see the A there at the 5th fret of the E string, it's right there under the 4th finger, under the pinky. So I can use the 4th finger minor triad. And I've not moved position at all. I'm in exactly the same position. Then for the D, it's right there under the 4th finger. I can use the 4th finger pattern again. And then the G is down here. I can play with the 2nd finger. So the whole progression. No position shifting at all.